Every day, people send me emails, lots of them, and it's not always easy to keep up with them. And I'd just like to say thank you for everyone who does send me an email. And I apologise to those that I just really run out of time because I'm travelling, I'm giving talks, I'm trying to make videos, all sorts of things. I'm not pinned to the computer all the time, as you can imagine, and therefore I can't always answer them, but I do try to read as many of them as physically possible. And I'd also, whilst I'm here, like to say a big thank you to all those wonderful people who've made donations over the last 16 months. People continue to do that. It's very kind, and it does keep this channel going, and I very much appreciate all of that. Now, somebody sent me an email this morning, and I had a look at that, and I thought I just want to share the video, really. This is an interview with John O'Looney, the well-known now, I think, funeral director, who has been talking about the vaccine harms and what was in the vaccine and what it was doing to the bodies that he was finding when he was sorting the body for the funerals. And I think a lot of people now are very familiar with his name and what he stands for. And in the past, I've met John, a lovely bloke, a genuine chap, and I knew that having him on the channel in the past, at the time, would be a bit problematic. I'd had a few strikes, I was a bit nervous about the channel disappearing, and there were some subjects which, of course, certain guests, you just couldn't get on because what they were saying was so controversial, needed to be said, but that the powers that censor all of this and throttle audiences and things would probably not be happy, and so sometimes it's very difficult. However, I'm going to link to this particular interview that only came out the other day with John and another gentleman from Scotland, and talking about the illegal migrants that are coming on. Now, I haven't been speaking about the illegal migrants for some time. I've been concentrating on different areas, a lot of it to do with what's lawful and what's not legal, and of course in recent times the stuff that's going on in the skies. What are they spraying, and making people aware. Whilst I try to cover many different things, you can't cover everything on a channel because you need to continually drip the message out to get people aware to think about certain things, so what are they spraying in the sky, what's legal, and trying to help people out from a financial point of view to get them to think about what's lawful, the corporations of the governments and so on. However, I think this is a very important message that John O'Looney and his interviewer is talking about, and that is the fact that John says, and I can't claim any knowledge for this, but I can only report what he says, is that these migrants, and a lot of people have been suggesting this for some time, of course, are trained UN soldiers. And the reason that they're coming in the way that they're coming in is so that they can get to this country and be deployed in another lockdown, should there be one. And we may be seeing the building up of an avian flu pandemic coming along. That's been the suggestion. Now, I do remember probably about this time last year, the same thing was being talked about. So maybe we were a year earlier. And I was told by a reliable source that a certain medication was coming in and being stored at the airports. Now, maybe more of that is being stored at the airports, ready for deployment, so that we would take a certain medication, a medical intervention. Now, we're all going to be a bit nervous about this medical intervention, even if there is a genuine possibility of a bird flu. Let's even say it might be a real one rather than perhaps a manufactured something. And who knows, there may be a correlation, and I'm not saying there is, and it's just pure speculation, between what's being sprayed in the skies into how we react as human beings or as physical bodies, men and women, and then if we were to see people dropping in the streets or getting extremely ill, it would be more convincing than perhaps the last pandemic. And although people will be a bit nervous about taking any medical interventions, perhaps if they started to see people getting really ill, then they would. And I'm not saying that that's one of the reasons that they're spraying stuff in the sky, but you know, we can't help breathing all of this in, the heavy metals, the poisons, and various other bits and bobs, which are obviously not very good for us. So you take your choice if you want to watch the interview, but it was interesting because John was saying that he's got footage of the boats that are coming in, bringing the migrants in, that the government is actually then shipping the boats back, taking the outboard motors in one lorry, and he says he's got the number plates for that, and then shipping the boats in another lorry, and they all go back to a compound in France, I think, where they're setting them up. And it is a government compound, all funded by the government. Now, this is not me saying this is an actual fact, but just reporting what John's saying and speculating about what would happen. And the other thing is that in Ireland, apparently, what's going on there is the illegal immigrants, if they've been over for 6 months, illegal immigrants are being employed as policemen. Well, that does sound a little bit bizarre, doesn't it? An illegal immigrant can be employed as a policeman. You would think, would you not, that if you're going to employ anyone for a police duty, that they should come from the local environment. They should be there to police the people in that environment, that they know the types of people, they can speak the language fluently, they know the traditions and the customs, and they could sort out the problems without having to resort to any kind of legal matters. So they could just calm people down if there's a dispute, and treat people honourably and respectfully, and that people would respect the police as well, because they see that the police are of the same culture, the same nationality, if necessary, or from that environment, that they've been part of the community for a long time. Certainly, if you want trust in your police, you wouldn't start having some military-style police given to people who are from another country here illegally. It seems to be what's going on in Ireland, and who knows, that may be happening in England, where more of the police realise that the police force itself is a corporation, a business. It's not a service as we believe it to be, and seems to be incredibly corrupt and aiding and abetting people like the enforcement officers on spurious cases. So there's a lot of stuff to worry about out there, and I tend not to do too much fear stuff in my show, but it would be interesting perhaps to have a look at that interview, and I'd be interested in your comments. And what do you make of that? Do you think that these immigrants are UN soldiers? Is there going to be another lockdown? Have we been lulled into a false sense of security recently with not very much happening? Now we're getting blue skies, which is rather nice. What's happened to the farming? I'd be interested in your comments. Thank you for watching.